Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And thank you to the PMIPCC Hyderabad chapter for having me as part of Project Edge. I want to start with a question today, and I want you to actually answer it in your head. How many retrospectives have you personally sat through in your career? Now, of those retrospectives, how many actually changed something? Not we had a good discussion or the team felt heard. I mean, something in the way your organization works was genuinely different in the following sprint. If that number is smaller than the first one, you're not alone. And that gap between reflection and result is exactly what I would want to address today. Because here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud in a room full of agile practitioners. Agile was never the hard part. Scaling it across a real enterprise with real politics, real legacy systems, and now with real AI tooling accelerating everything, that's the hard part. So today, we are going to talk about scaling agile across enterprises in the AI era. Not the theory, not another framework poster that you can hang up on the wall, but a working model built from the field, from my field, that you can actually take back to your organization on Monday. That's what I'm going to take you through. So let's get into it. Before I hand you a model and ask you to trust it, you deserve to know where it came from. So quickly about me, I'm Vidyadhar, I'm PMP certified, and today I serve as Chief Product Officer on an AI-powered platform focused on trusted hiring and fraud prevention. But that's just my current chapter. The model I'm about to share was forged across 4 different battlefields over 17 plus years of my experience scaling data and product delivery inside enterprises. So let me give you the fast version. One, I built a customer success ticketing platform as a project manager with a startup. That cut average response time by 30%. It lifted the CSAT by 15% and hit 100% adoption in just 4 weeks. I'm not talking about 4 quarters or 4 months, but 4 weeks. And then with a multinational company, I directed a regulated document AI pipeline, which included the extraction and archival of 8 million clinical trial documents. I trained a machine learning engine to 99.95% accuracy. And with the same organization, on a separate project, I built an ETL pipeline processing millions of trade-related documents every single month. And it resulted in about 95% plus automation rate and 99.99% accuracy. And then with the same organization, I ran the enterprise PMO as head of the PMO, governing almost 1,800 resources across 38 concurrent projects, consistently meeting the SLAs across a business that never was really stable for a long enough periods to make it easy for me. And today I lead an AI product delivery for a hiring and fraud prevention platform, applying every one of these lessons in real time in an industry where getting it wrong doesn't just cost velocity, it costs trust. Now, why does this matter to you? Because everything I share in the next 17 minutes is not a slide someone handed over to me. It's what actually worked. And just as important, what did not work. So here's what we will be covering today. Six stops, 20 minutes, no filler. So one, why enterprise agility needs rethinking in the AI era. Two, I'm going to cover where enterprise agile scaling actually breaks down in practice, not in theory. Three, I'm going to introduce you to a model that I call scale. It's 5 letters, 5 disciplines. We're going to cover that. In 4 and 5, we'll walk through the scale model in action, pillar by pillar with real evidence from real projects. And in the 6th section, We're going to cover the last pillar of scale, the enterprise learning and evolving feedback. And then I'm also going to cover some benefits and a handful of things that I want you to walk out remembering. It's a simple map. Let's start with the why. Now, let me ask you something as I start this. When was the last time your annual plan survived contact with the actual year? Right. There's not really much, right? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Markets and customer expectations are now shifting faster than the planning cycles we built to track them. Speed is not a nice to have anymore. Speed is survival. And here's the second uncomfortable truth. The enterprise is the unit of competition now, not just the team. You can have the fastest, sharpest, most agile, mature team in the building. But if the other 20 teams around them are stuck in molasses, then your competitive advantage evaporates at the handcuff. It doesn't matter how fast one team runs if the relay button drops at every exchange. Now, layer AI on top of this. AI assisted coaching, coding, AI assisted testing, AI assisted content generation. They're all compressing the cycle times that used to take days and hours and weeks. And it's compressing that into hours. That sounds thrilling. And actually, it is. But ask yourself, if your organization could not coordinate at the old speed, what happens when the speed triples? That's the actual risk sitting in this room with us today. And to be clear, I'm not standing here telling you that AI makes these decisions for you. AI can draft it, AI can suggest it, AI can even accelerate it. But scaling decisions, the should we or should we not just the can we. Still, all of this needs human context. It needs human judgment and human accountability. AI augments, AI does not absolve. So, speed is up. The enterprise is the real battlefield. And AI just turned up the volume on both of them. Now, what could possibly go wrong? Right? Let's talk about exactly that in the next slide. Now, I want to describe 4 patterns, and I want you to be honest with yourselves. Not with me, with yourselves. About how many of these you've lived through. The first pattern, framework theater. We adopt the ceremonies, we stand up the ticket boards, then we have the daily stand-ups, sprint reviews, and all the artifacts. And yet, how decisions actually get made in the building hasn't changed even one bit. This is the agile cosplay. It looks right in a photo, but it doesn't move the needle at all. Now, the pattern 2. I call it the silent silos. Every team is optimizing beautifully for itself. Meanwhile, the dependencies between the teams quietly pile up unmanaged until they explode at integration time. Doesn't that sound familiar? Let's look at pattern 3. I call it the governance as drag. You see approval layers that were designed with good intentions to protect the organization, but they end up adding weeks to changes that should take days. Safety and speed start to feel like enemies instead of partners. And let's look at the pattern 4, the one that's new to this decade. AI speed without guardrails. Faster code, faster content, faster everything without matching review discipline. And here's the part that should genuinely concern every leader that's watching this video. When you make a broken process faster, you don't fix the problem. You just ship the same mistakes at 3 times the speed. So, if frameworks alone don't fix this, and governance alone doesn't fix this, and AI tooling alone definitely doesn't fix this, what does? And that's exactly what I built Scale to answer. Let me introduce to you the Scale model. 5 letters, 5 disciplines, built directly from the 4 projects that I mentioned earlier. It's not from a textbook, but it is from the field. S is for strategic alignment. C is for cross-functional coordination. A for AI augmented delivery. L for leadership enablement. And E for enterprise learning. Here's what I want you to notice. This is not a maturity model that you climb once and frame on the wall. It's an operating rhythm. All 5 disciplines, they need to run simultaneously, reinforcing each other. Strategy without coordination is just going to be ambition. Coordination without AI augmented delivery is just going to be slower speed. And none of it survives without leadership clearing the path and the enterprise learning from what actually happened. So let me walk through each of these with the evidence behind it. First, the S and C. Let's start with the strategic alignment. Here's a question for every leader that's watching the video and who's in this room now. Can every single team in your organization tell you in just one sentence which enterprise priority their current sprint is actually serving? See, if they can't, then you don't have strategic alignment. You have a lot of very busy people. Strategic alignment means 2 things in practice. First, connect every team's goals to 1 or 2 enterprise priorities, not a wish list of 12 priorities, 1 or 2. Second, make fewer and bigger portfolio level bets instead of spreading your best people across 40 different things that are each 10% resourced. I lived this as the head of a PMO governing 1800 plus resources across 38 concurrent projects. Portfolio level governance, real governance, not bureaucratic governance, is what kept every single one of those projects traceable back to the organizational priorities and to the SLAs. It was not luck or simple structure. Now let's look at C, cross-functional coordination. Again, ask yourself, how many of your dependencies do you discover during the sprint instead of before it? And that's the tax I call the silent killer of velocity. See, coordination means surfacing and owning cross-team dependencies before the sprint even begins, and replacing layers of status meetings with one lightweight cross-team sync. Not more meetings. You need to have fewer but better ones. When I led the customer success ticketing platform, this was not just theoretical. I ran cross-team workshops that pulled support, product, engineering, marketing, sales, all of them into the same room early. The result wasn't just a good project. It was 100% adoption in 4 weeks. And that doesn't happen by accident. That happens because the dependencies were surfaced before they became fires. Strategy tells you what matters, and coordination makes sure the whole organization can actually move it all together. Now let's look at A, AI augmented delivery. Now I believe this is a letter that everyone's been waiting for. And here's my honest take. And I say this as someone whose entire current role is built on AI. AI is not a strategy. AI is an accelerant. And accelerants make good things better and bad things catastrophic very faster. AI augmented delivery means standardizing AI tools access under one enterprise policy, not 40 teams each quietly adopting 40 different tools with 40 different risk profiles. And it means keeping a human in the loop for review every time before AI assisted work ships. I saw the payoff of this discipline directly. On the earlier project that I was speaking about, the regulated clinical trials document pipeline, I led that as a program manager. We trained and refined a machine learning engine to automate extraction across 8 million documents. But here's the part I want you to hold on to. It was not the AI alone that got us to 99.95% accuracy with 0 defects. It was AI plus disciplined human audit gates. Remove the human gate and you don't get faster success, you get faster failure. Now let's move to L, the leadership enablement. Again, ask yourself this question honestly. When your teams hit an obstacle they cannot resolve on their own, who actually clears it? If the answer is nobody, they just work around it, that is not resilience. That's technical debt with a smile on it. Leadership enablement means leaders actively clear systemic blockers that individual teams cannot resolve alone. It means protecting time for improvement work, not just shipping the next feature, but fixing the thing that keeps slowing every team down. And I'm living this discipline right now. Today, as Chief Product Officer of an AI powered platform in trusted hiring and fraud prevention. And this is an industry where move fast and break things is simply not an option. Because what breaks is actually trust. And my job is not just to set direction, it is to clear the road so my teams can move responsibly at speed. So take this from me: AI gives you the engine, leadership gives you the steering wheel. You need both, or you're just accelerating toward a wall. Now, the final letter: enterprise learning, E, and evolving feedback. Here's the question that separates organizations that scale from organizations that just get bigger. Are you measuring outcomes or are you measuring output? Story points shipped is output. Cycle time, customer impact, and quality, that's outcome. And here's the discipline most enterprises skip: feeding the patterns you see across teams into a genuine quarterly enterprise level retrospective, not just a team by team ritual that never leaves the room it happened in. See, go back to that ticketing platform that I mentioned earlier. The outcome metrics did not just look good in a slide, they actually proved the impact. 30% faster response time, a 15% CSAT uplift. That's the difference between a team saying we feel more agile and an enterprise able to say, here's the number that moved and here's why. And when you run all these five disciplines together, strategic alignment, cross functional coordination, AI augmented delivery, leadership enablement, enterprise learning, here's what you actually gain. You gain a faster, safer delivery. Speed and control improving together, not trading off against each other. You get a visible line to strategy, where every team's work is traceable to an enterprise outcome. You get stronger cross-team trust, where you have shared cadence replacing friction with collaboration. And you have a sustainable use of AI, governed and durable, not just fast and reckless. And that last one is the one I'd ask you to sit with the longest. Because in the AI era, the organizations that win won't be the ones who adopted AI first. They'll be the ones who scaled it responsibly, faster than anyone else could catch up. And with that, I want to leave you with words from someone who understood organizational speed and organizational decay better than almost anyone in modern business history. Bill Gates once said, "The complacent company is a dead company." Success today requires the agility and drive to constantly rethink, reinvigorate, react, and reinvent. Read that again in your head. The complacent company is a dead company. It's not a slower company, not a less profitable company, but a dead one. That's not a Silicon Valley soundbite. That's a warning. And it was true before AI accelerated everything, and it is doubly true now. The scale model that I walked you through today, it's not complicated. It is five disciplines run together deliberately. Agility doesn't happen to an organization. It's built sprint by sprint, dependency by dependency, retrospective by retrospective. It's built. So here's my ask. of every project manager, program manager, every agile practitioner, every senior leader who's watching this video. Whether you are leading your first team or your 15th portfolio, don't wait for permission to start scaling deliberately. Pick one letter, S, C, A, L, or E, and ask which one your organization is weakest in today. Start there, not with all five, with just one. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm Vidyadhar Mylabathula, and you will find me on LinkedIn, and I'd genuinely love to continue this conversation with any of you. And if you're watching this live, or you're watching it on the video on YouTube, I'd love to take your questions in the chat or drop a comment or reach out directly to me on LinkedIn. I would genuinely love to hear which scale discipline resonates most with what you're facing right now. Thank you, PMIPCC Hyderabad chapter, and thank you, Project Edge. Thank you, everyone.